Now they hosted on the 40 acres on campus grounds. We gather round, discussing goals and dreams and life's adventures. The Texas Longhorns, they're the talk of the town. High castles of the 40 acres, where we dive deep into the game day stories. From touchdowns to heartbreakers, we discuss it all. Texas Longhorns glory. Yeah, we gather round each Thursday night, talking sports, it's so alright. From football to basketball, baseball to softball, Tim Wayne and Harry, we cover it all. Sports talk is our passion, our delight. Thursday night at 8:30, we unite. We discuss the scores, the plays, the teams who might. Let's dive into the game, let's ignite.
12 conference champions.
What up, what up, what up? It's Thursday evening. It's time for the Texas Longhorn Fan Battle Podcast with, of course, yours truly, Harish Nukala. I'm here with my boy Tim Wayne. Tim Wayne, what's going down, bruh?
Man, it has been a harsh week.
Couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been really rough, but hey, man, you got to push through it. You got to push through adversity, and that's what our Longhorns are currently doing, and we'll cover that here in a bit.
Yeah, another injury bug hits the 40 one more time. Of course, we know Christian Clark out for the season, tore his Achilles during practice, which I will talk through the details. I don't really think they make any sense. I'm not really sure what happened.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk through it. Of course, reported originally by Anwar Richardson, first on the scene, giving us the latest and greatest about the Texas Longhorns. So shout out to Anwar. So we'll talk through that. Also got some other things to talk about. We'll go through the last part of our series of the Texas series predictions for the season. We both have Texas so far at 6-1. We'll see how we both end up, and where that kind of puts us as we head into the postseason. We'll discuss next week. 16 days until the Texas Longhorns hit the field. We are very, very close.
Yeah.
But hey, before we get started tonight, as always, fanbattlesports.com, where you can get the latest and greatest from the AFC South, the Colts, the Titans, the Texans, and the Jaguars. fanbattlesports.com. If you're interested in signing up for your own show, hit us up, fill out the contact us information. Let us know. We'll get you set up with everything you need. fanbattlesports.com. Also follow us on Longhorn Fan Battle Twitter at LH Fan Battle. try to push for 3,000 by the beginning of the season. So please share with your friends, share with your neighbors, share with your dogs, share with your cousins, your brothers, your sisters, your grandparents, whoever you got. FanBattlesports.com. As we got something in the chat, Chris Jackson saying, "Yo, what's up?" Chris Jackson, of course, host of the Horseshoe Mob Fan Battle podcast. Chris, what's going down, my guy? Go Colts! And Sam loves Jalen Ramsey. All righty, folks. Let's get started here. So, I think this was reported. It happened on. So here's the timeline. So on Monday, there was a report put out, or maybe it was Tuesday. There was a report put out by Anwar Richardson that basically Christian Clark suffers a major lower leg injury.
Yeah.
He said it was during the scrimmage on Saturday. And details were still yet to be unknown. What's interesting about this whole thing, Tim, is Sark has a press conference that day as well.
Yep.
He mentions Christian Clark having a great scrimmage on Saturday, but then the injury happened on Monday,
right,
during a walkthrough.
Right.
So some interesting conflicting information there. But I think we then later find out yesterday that it's an Achilles, right? He tears his Achilles tendon, which is the new age. It's the new ACL, right? It's basically the I don't want to say career injury because that's a harsh way to put it, but it really puts a damper on your career.
Yeah.
It is definitely the unknown. Like back in the day, you and I remember when ACLs were like the death of careers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
it killed quite a few people, honestly.
A lot of great players were killed by ACLs back in the days, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to say killed as in like just hurt their careers is what we're saying. So
right.
But Christian Clark is 18, maybe 19, so he's very young. He's got a very long career ahead of him. We wish him the best. We wish for him to get healthy soon. But we've got to talk about the other piece of this. Number one, first and foremost, your thoughts on the injury overall. And because of his age, what does his prognosis look like to you as far as a longevity of his career and kind of how does he come back, especially being this young?
Well, I had to do some research, and luckily one of our good friends in our dynasty, he unfortunately suffered the same injury when he was in when he was in college out on the West Coast. Our good friend Legend Ford suffered the same injury in a basketball game where he was playing basketball and suffered an Achilles injury. And I don't know if you know this, Harish, but Legend was really, really one of the better basketball players in the inner city Austin during his playing time in high school and going into college. So the way he explained it to me is that if it's an Achilles tear is one thing, an Achilles rupture is another thing. Basically, where if it's an Achilles rupture, you're looking about 6 to 8 months that he will be out. If you're looking at a tear, you're looking at about 2 to 3 months, depending on the person. From what I've understood, and I don't remember if Anwar said if it was a rupture or if it was a tear, but from what I've read, it was a rupture. So that means that the tendon absolutely completely snaps. The way Legend explained it is that it was more like a pop, like he heard it pop. It does something to your explosiveness for a while. You have to get back to a point to where you can train and that helps your explosiveness, right? That you need your Achilles to walk and to do literally everything. I don't know if you remember when Kobe tore his Achilles and then he shot the free throw and then he walked off the court. Not too many people are Kobe Bryant to where you can go and shoot free throws and then walk off the court.
That dude's on a different level. Kobe Bryant was just on a different level of everything.
Right. But he did come back. You know, he did go overseas to get that situated. Now, I do believe that medicine, even within the last 7 to 8 years, has progressed a lot. And we kind of talked about it and addressed it you know, before the show started. Usually with something like an Achilles and an ACL, things like that, they used to just basically be the end of your career. So I'm hoping that, you know, he's going to have the best doctors. He's at the University of Texas. I don't know if that's a Dr. James Andrews thing, who's, you know, he's normally works with people with ACLs, MCLs, and things of that nature. I don't know if he went and spoke with Dr. James Andrews or not. But the only thing that I can hope for is that, you know, when he does go through that training time, that he is able to trust his body. That's a major injury. That's not something that is light. That's the only thing that I can think of. It, you know, we talked about it last week about Texas having a stable of running backs. They have they have 6. They went from 8 to 6 in a matter of a week. So, you know, the only thing that we can just hope for is to, you know, no more injuries, especially injuries like that. That could really play a big, you know, a big play on your psyche, especially knees, lower extremities. I don't even now, even though I haven't played football in a long time, I don't like people near my knees. I don't like people near anything below my knees, just because I don't want anything to happen. I've seen it happen. I've seen players get rolled up. I've seen players, you know, trying to like hop over things, or they may stick their foot in something and like twist an ankle, and then it, you know, ends up doing something even worse. So the only thing I could say is, man, is hopefully it's a speedy recovery. I hate really saying next man up because it sounds so cliche, but literally like you're fighting adversity, not only with the teams that you're going to be playing going into the SEC, but now you gotta, you know, there's the opportunities for players that may not have been able to get the playing time that they thought that they were going to get. They're going to get it now. So it's now it's time for those guys who may not have thought that they were going to be, you know, seeing a lot of action. They'll be able to get that action.
Yeah, and it is a torn Achilles. He did tear it.
Okay.
So that's what I was checking. I was just double checking that it is a torn Achilles. So hey, we wish the best of Christian Clark. We obviously know the amount of talent that he has, you know, and especially as a back in a backfield that's very talented. You know what he brings to the table. So we're wishing him the best of luck. Hopefully he can come back healthy next year and pick up where he left off in spring camp and fall camp. And we wish him the best.
Yeah, for sure.
Now it only leaves you with 4 scholarship running backs. So you got Jared Gibson, Trey Wisner. Obviously, you get Alfred Blue, and then you get the baseball player, right? There's also rumors.
Alfred Blue, yeah. You mean
shit.
Gerard Blue.
Jaden Blue.
Sorry.
And then you get the Texas catcher who's also on the roster listed as a running back. There's been tells of the tale that Ryan Niblett has been moved to running back. So that is something very interesting. We've obviously seen this at the wide receiver position before. Savion Red gets moved from the wide receiver position to the running back position and ends up working out well for him. Ryan Niblett's a guy that has a lot of speed in the open field, especially when he can get his hands on the ball. So from that perspective, it makes sense. He's played running back. There's been discussions, you know, could certain players play like running back roles in certain scenarios? I'm sure they could, but the way you look at this team and where those guys would come from, you don't want Anthony Hill playing back in any situation. It already sucks that you have to move him from outside linebacker to inside linebacker, right? Or to middle linebacker. So that's already a concern, because that's not his natural position. So you don't want a guy like, I don't know, you don't want any of the defensive ends or anything like that playing, you know, running back snaps. Now, short yardage, I mean, could there be like a package that like nobody prepares for? Sure, like a Tavondre Sweat type thing. Yeah, possibly. Maybe as the season goes on and maybe like certain scenarios, right? But it's
Right.
not something Sark wants to rely on.
Right. Maybe like a
Um,
jumbo goal line package type situation.
yeah.
Yeah.
One guy that
Going
I
further.
think would be interesting, who's had a really good camp.
Mhm.
This would be specifically in goal line situations, is Juan Davis,
Yep.
who's had a fantastic camp. He's got the size. He's 6'4", 250. He's very fast.
Right.
He's got the catching ability, right? Obviously, as a tight end. But you then go back to thinking about, well, you got Gunnar Helm, you got Amari Nyblack. Juan
Right.
Davis is going to play a role in this team this year, right? As the third tight end. But does he emerge as the guy that gets something like, inserted in for him, circa, goal line, third down, third and short, kind of any kind of situational times. That's something you have to look at. I don't really know. As Showtime comes in here, my guys, what's good? Love what y'all are doing here. Hey, Showtime, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Sir.
Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Tell your friends about the show. Continue to comment, and we will bring them up. So that's something that becomes interesting. I just don't see it. Sark does talk about flexibility a lot, and that's the reason why he recruits certain guys that he does, because they do have the flexibility to play multiple positions. So we'll see. When we line up in 16 days, I wouldn't expect much. Get on the field, take care of your business, get off the field, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about that the last 2 weeks on, like, as we look at the first 7 games of the schedule, the first 4 are very vanilla, right? You're hoping very simple. You're not in anything, any unexpected dogfights like you were in Wyoming last year, right? You're hoping that none of those types of games occur, and you can get out there with the win and move on to the next week. But as the season progresses, we'll see what happens with certain positions and how they kind of play those positions.
Yeah.
All righty, Tim. So I know this is something you wanted to chat about, so I'll let you kind of take the reins because you know more about this than I do. I kind of read the article a little bit. It's kind of confusing, but I'll
read the article. I'm gonna read the article, so because I just, like, when I saw it again, this is all that was said, right? They didn't really go into depth about what's happening. So I'm gonna read it, and then I just want you to give me what you think from here, because I have my thoughts about this, and I really think this is more geared towards Notre Dame. And there's a sprinkle of Notre Dame information in here, so I'm just gonna read it here real quick. So this morning there was an announcement about the update on tiebreakers when it comes to the college football playoff, and I'm gonna go ahead and read it now. It says the College Football Playoff Selection Committee will no longer use conference championships as one of its tiebreakers because of the new 12-team format. This guarantees bids for the 5 highest ranked conference winners, the CFP announced Thursday. The change in protocol, which was approved by the FBS commissioners and Notre Dame athletic director Pete Bach, I don't want to butcher his name, let's just say Pete B, was implemented at this week's annual meeting of the selection committee members in Laguna Niguel, California. What the commissioners decided upon the 12-team format for this fall, they also agreed to place an emphasis on the importance of winning a conference title because it's embedded into the model. That eliminated any need to use a conference title as a tiebreaker when comparing similar teams. So to me, this is all geared towards the independence teams. So the independence teams, to me, it says, hey, if you win your games, we're not going to use conference tiebreakers to, like, not get you in. I don't necessarily like this. I really think that there needs to be done something needs to be done with the independents. For the teams that are independents, they need to do something to say, hey, we are a championship. You are a champion, so this guarantees you a spot. Right now you have your Power 5. I get it with your God, why am I drawing a blank? You have your Power 5 conference winners. Then you have your at-large bids, your at-large champions, and then you have Jesus Christ, this is so hard. The higher ranked teams within the top 12. So even if you don't win, you can still get in. The way I believe this should work is this should work in the manner of, hey, you win your conference title, you're in. That's one thing. You mid guys, we're gonna give you a couple of spots. You guys win your mid-major conference titles, you have your at-large bids, you get it. Then there needs to be something done for the independent guys, because having the independent guys being like, okay, as long as you're ranked within the top 12, you're gonna get in. I don't think that it works like that, because then if you have let's just say you have a 3, and this is just hypothetical. You have a 3-loss Ohio State team, right? You have that 3-loss Ohio State team. They're right on the cusp. Then you have an independent team that's won that went 10-2 or 11-2, however many games. If Ohio State lost in the Big Ten championship to like a Oregon or a Michigan or whoever, and their only third losses because they lost in the championship, I still think that they should get awarded. Not saying every time, but I still think that they should get awarded, because if you run into a situation where like you got Ohio State at number 12, but then you got a Notre Dame that's lost 2 trash games, but Ohio State lost to the Big Ten champion, I still think that Big Ten loser in Ohio State should be able to get in over a 2-loss, Notre Dame that lost to 2 crappy teams. That's just my opinion. What are your thoughts on it? It's still very new, and we're still finding out information as it comes out. Mind you, these meetings have been going on for a couple of days now, and this is the real first piece of information that's come out since they've had this meeting in California.
So all this has nothing. It really has nothing to do with conference champions, right? What this does is says if you're one of the 5 highest ranked conference champions, you're in.
Right.
After that, even if you are a conference champion, right? And you're not. Let's just say you're the 6th highest. Let's just say that the 6th rated highest conference champion was Texas.
Right.
They're not taking that conference championship into consideration.
Which is crazy.
Is it? What if Texas has what if the SEC has a wild year where the conference champion loses 3 games? Which will happen. The Big Ten as well. And then those three losses are to 8-4 Kentucky, 10-1 Alabama.
Right.
And then you also lose to, I don't know, 7-6 Vanderbilt, but then you win the conference title and beat 12-1 Georgia. There's no way to balance that out, because then from there, you're just comparing records to like you are to everybody else. You can't balance that out. Like once you get to like, and I actually think it's fair, because it takes out the bias out of everything. Because it does give Notre Dame basically a fighting chance, right?
Right.
Let's be honest, they're the only independent that has a shot.
Right.
What it does, though, it is also saying, just because you win a conference title, your opportunity to get an automatic bid was being one of the 5 highest. Notice they're not saying Power 5s. They're not saying Power 5s. You just have to be one of the 5 highest rated conference champions. And being a top 5 rated conference champion should not be difficult for the top 2 conferences. Like in all reality, a Big 10 champion or an SEC champion will be top 5.
Right.
The likelihood, there will be anomaly years though where that's not the case.
Right.
Just because of how stacked those conferences are.
Yeah, I think it just kind of reminds me of like, you remember that 08 season, or it might have been 09, where like everybody
Number
that
two
was
kept
ranked
losing. Yeah.
right, everybody that was like the new number 1 or the number 2 ended up losing. And it was like late in the season. Like,
Well, that's why this exists.
yeah, okay.
That's exactly why this exists. Because if you remember, I think number 2 lost to like a one loss
That
or a
was the year
1-win
that that was
Stanford
the,
team, or like a 2-win Stanford team, or something crazy like that.
that was the year where like Oregon got to number 2. They roll into Arizona, and Arizona beats them.
Right. And then it's like Stanford, it was Andrew Luck's like junior or senior year.
Right.
They roll into somewhere, they lose to like some 6-loss team or something.
Right.
And I think this is to help with that. Because
Okay.
at the end of the day, if you're losing to 6-loss teams, you're ranked number 4 only because you're ranked number 6. Does that necessarily mean that you're the best team? That you're one of the 5 best teams because you're losing to 6-loss teams in your conference? Like it helps balance that scenario,
Right.
and I actually from that perspective like it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. When you put it like that, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. I just thought it was just more geared towards helping the independent.
It does.
In there.
It does, but it's still like 2 things still have to happen in order for it to fully help. Like, here's the thing: if the 5 highest rated conference champions are all undefeated, they're all undefeated, and then from there you just go on, right?
Right.
Notre Dame just has to find a way to win, and
Right.
a 2-loss Notre Dame is not good enough, right?
No.
But if mass chaos ensues, they just like any other year that they get in, they have to hope that mass chaos happens, right?
Right.
Mass chaos happens. Now you have a legitimate shot. You might not be a top 4 seed, but you have a legitimate shot to get in.
You'll definitely be on the road for sure.
Right.
But
also the thinking and the idea is because the conferences are so stacked,
right.
Notre Dame will have an opportunity, if they're good, more often than not to get in. But then as a Notre Dame, even if you're not a top 4 or top 5 seed, being 6 through 10 or 6 through 11 matters to them, because that's the difference between having to go to Texas or having to go to Oregon State.
True.
Or having to go to, go back to Penn State for a second time versus only having to go to like Marshall or something crazy like that. Right.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it does give them some pull. It gives them a little bit more leeway, but it's still like, I mean, they still need mass chaos to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of how I think about it. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Let us know in the live feed. Again, like, subscribe. Let us know what you guys think about this. I think it's an interesting change.
Yeah, for sure.
But I understand the change in terms of quote unquote leveling the playing field. If the playing field gets to a level where it does need to be leveled, right? And I think this is that leveler.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I'm worried that they might be trying to do a lot of changes within a short period of time, because that's a major change. That is a major change. And when you got stuff like that, that really shakes stuff up. It's like we're already like trying to get used to this 12-team format, right? We don't, again, do we know who I forgot who were the actual people that will be making.
No, you won't know until the season starts. They typically don't say until generally like a month before the first polls is usually when they release it. Also, we don't know what nothing's really changed because we don't know. We never knew what the criteria was, right?
Right.
So we're slowly starting. So nothing's really changed. All we knew is that there's 12 teams. There's the top 5, the top 5 conference champions, and there's G5. So now all this is saying is this is how the criteria that's being selected, right? This is the criteria that's being selected when it comes to helping us determine who the 12 best teams are. So we're starting to now learn what the criteria is.
Right. Yeah, interesting. Again, guys, let us know what your thoughts on the changes are. Do you like them? Do you not? Yeah, I'm thoroughly interested. When I send this message, when I saw that message and I sent it to you this morning, I was like, "Oh snap, what is going down? Like, what is going to
Yeah.
happen?"
I literally just read it for the first time. So
Showtime, my guys, what's good? Love what y'all doing here. Oh, that's our boy Marion Holiday. Shout out to Marion.
oh, what's up, Marion? How you
Thanks
doing,
for
my guy?
stopping in. We appreciate you jumping in here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's a Oklahoma Sooners guy. Speaking
Yeah,
of the
we didn't even
Sooners,
talk about all that, but hey, what's up, Showtime? Marion, our guy. Hope you're doing well, man. It's good to hear from you.
Yeah, for real. Speaking of the Sooners, I think it's right to transition into the recruiting update. And you hit me with this. I could not believe it. I definitely felt like this was a lock. 5-star offensive tackle Michael Fasusi out of Louisville, Texas, has been trending for majority of the time to go to Texas. Like for a majority, a lot of the guys that we follow, especially like Orange Bloods, they keep a knee in literally everything. And they got birdies out there that are just have all the information in the world. Has primarily been, Fasusi going to Texas. Nobody said it was a lock, but a lot of people have like thoroughly said, hey, this seems to be, a match made in heaven. Well, you dropped the bomb on me, recently, and within the last 12 hours, that has now changed. Michael Fasusi is a crystal ball to go to the University of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Ouch. Like, ouch. You know what I'm saying?
Ouch, like, yes.
Because
I think there's a couple things to this.
Here's why.
Because it's Oklahoma?
Well, no, not that. But I feel like Fasusi is one of those guys that's like a Kelvin Banks, where he could come in and literally this guy is a monster. This guy is he's 6'5", 6'6", 305. Like, and he can move. He's not slow. He's not one of those guys you got to worry about him like being overweight, being sluggish. Like, this guy is young. He's in shape, and he looks good. And he just like if you go and you Google Michael Fasusi, like,
he's got some crazy highlights. Yeah, he will be a first round pick. Like, he will be a first round pick. Right. 3-4 years down. Actually, technically 4 years down the road, because he's in the 25 class. Here's what I'll say about Fasusi. He was trending Texas. He actually started trending A&M, which was like early in his recruitment.
Yes,
right?
I forgot about the A&M situation.
He only started trending Texas probably. I would say I really started hearing him trend Texas like in May, like April or May.
Right.
He's only recently started trending Oklahoma probably in the last month or so. And the big reason is he's not going to start at Texas immediately.
No. I feel like he has I feel like he could. I'm not saying that he will.
Where would he start?
I was thinking possibly. Listen, I don't think Kelvin Banks is going to be here after next year.
Okay.
I think this is Kelvin.
I agree. Banks. I don't think he will either. He's going to be a top 10. He's going to be a top 5 pick.
I think Kelvin Banks next year in the 2025 NFL draft will be a top 3 draft pick. Like,
I don't he gets ahead of Will Campbell.
Dog. Like, this guy doesn't give up sacks, man. He doesn't give up Will
Campbell. It's going to be very close, and I think it just comes down to style of play. I think Kelvin Banks is a little bit more athletic.
What teams are going to be up there in order to draft him? Let's see.
Raiders.
They
need a quarterback.
Raiders need a quarterback. You're right.
They need everything, actually.
They really need a little bit of especially getting rid of Josh Jacobs. Now they definitely need a little bit of everything. So it could literally go anyway. But like again, it does matter. A playing style is a thing, but we also know that like if you can get a guy right,
yeah,
you get it. Especially your left tackle. You get your left tackle. You get your pass rusher. You get your quarterback, right? We all know that. And honestly, the way things are going, I don't see a lot of quarterbacks going. I don't see a heavy need at quarterback this next year. I could definitely see it, you know, you got a couple quarterbacks that are kind of aging, getting up there in age. We don't necessarily know how the whole Trevor Lawrence situation is going, but they locked him down. So we don't necessarily know. We don't necessarily know like where the need for quarterback is going to be. I mean, to keep it completely honest, the Cowboys might be in the market for a quarterback, but also I feel like if the Cowboys are there, and if the Cowboys are a top 10 or a top 5, because they could definitely be the way that things are going. If that does indeed happen, like you would be an idiot to get to pass over and shore up your offensive line. You know what I'm saying? No matter who's back there. If you got a clean pocket, most of these guys can make the throws in the NFL. Even, you know, Gardner Minshew did numbers for you guys when he needed to step in. So I don't know. I just feel like Fasusi has an opportunity. I don't necessarily know. Do I think he would be better at a left tackle than a right tackle? I believe so. I just think that there's an opportunity for him to step in and really challenge for that left tackle spot.
I'm gonna tell you this right now, he's not starting at left tackle next year.
You don't think so?
Guaranteed. Trevor Gooseby. No, Trevor Gooseby is basically Kelvin Banks 2.0.
Right. Yeah.
He is another Kelvin Banks, except a little bit more athletic.
Yeah.
He's already been there for 2 years. So he will get his opportunity to start next year. I'm telling you, Trevor Gooseby is another guy that's going to be really good for this team. He's also going to go to the NFL. We've talked to Trevor. We've had conversations. He's a good kid.
Yeah.
He's very lean, very big, very strong, very mobile, and the coaching staff loves him.
Right. Yeah.
So he's not starting over Trevor Gooseby. I'm sorry. He's just not.
Okay.
But here's the thing: as a Texans fan, that is a good problem to have.
It is definitely a good problem,
right? So I think
we weren't having these conversations a couple of years ago.
I think the big reason why he goes to Oklahoma is because he wants to start as a left tackle, and they don't have an offensive line right now. Their offensive line is dusted. Now they do have Bendenbaugh, who's a very good offensive line coach, right?
Right.
Very good track record of putting. Hell, y'all have an OU offensive lineman out of the first round that's killing it for y'all right now.
Right.
So they do have that track record that helps a lot. Plus, he'll get to play now. I think he's trending Oklahoma from what I'm hearing. We'll see what happens. You just never know, right?
Right.
Corey Moore was trending Texas until the last 4-6 hours that it came down and things changed. So things could change. Maybe he's like, you know what? I do think my best route to being a pro is the NFL. There is a lot of, I don't care what anybody tells me. From a winning perspective, there's a lot of unknown at Oklahoma.
Right.
But if Fasusi's only concern is to make it to the league, who are we to argue to say that Oklahoma is not his best route to get there?
Oh no, I'm not. Listen. As far as when it comes to linemen, listen, Oklahoma they put guys in the league. That's not a thing. So if that's the ultimate goal, is to get people into the league, and that if that's what his ultimate goal is, which a lot of these guys, they do have dreams of playing in and they're in, like, hell, it was my dream to play in the NFL. So I definitely understand where you're coming from. Listen, we're gonna find out on the 21st because he did make an announcement a couple of weeks ago. A little bit over a month ago in regards to where he was gonna go.
Yeah.
So that's hard locked on what is that? Next Wednesday? Next Thursday? Next
Next
Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Yeah, next
So
Wednesday. And the next weekend you have Jamie French.
right. Speaking of Jamie French, what are your
Or sorry, Michael Terry, not Jamie French.
Jamie French is the 30th. My God. My
Yeah.
bad.
Michael Terry is next Saturday. Everything I'm hearing is he's going to Texas. He's going to end up picking Texas. That's a big one. That's a big one for the Longhorns.
Yeah, for sure.
You got a guy who can either play safety or he can play tight end. So that'll be big. Let me double check my list here real quick. On 3. No. I'm just checking to make sure I'm not missing anything. And I'm gonna see if I can jump on the Orange Bloods site tonight and see if I can find any other information as far as like what's happening in the recruiting world. But that is information that came from earlier today that we read on Orange Bloods. Right. Nick Townsend is also supposed to be announcing next week, I believe.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Nick Townsend.
I wish they put on here when they were going to announce. Oh, these are not Nick Townsend. These are already commits. Hold on a second. Oh Jesus. This okay, not Nick Townsend. Hold on. Who was it? It's 24/7. So Michael Fasusi is coming up. We already obviously know about that. Khalid Lockett already committed. We know about that. Let's see. We've got shoot. This thing is so weird how this works out. Decommits, not decommits. Lance Jackson's obviously here. Nick Townsend is obviously. We've heard some information about Cade Phillips, so that's somebody to keep an eye on. I know he's already committed, but something might be happening there, so I'd keep an ear out for that. Josiah Sharma already committed, obviously. Devin Coleman is somebody that's committed already. Trying to see, there's a couple other guys that are. Who's the other lineman? Because we know that Fasusi might not end up committing. There's another guy out here that's is it Brooks? It might be Nick Brooks.
Nick Brooks. Aiden Anding, if I'm not mistaken, is also one of those guys we need to look out for.
Who is
Aiden Anding, the cornerback?
Yeah. That is he's a corner, right?
Right, yeah.
He's sometime in the next couple of weeks as well.
Yeah.
There's another big one that's like in the next couple of weeks, like very soon. She's like I don't remember who it was, but there's definitely some big ones coming here soon. I'll look it up. Let's go ahead and move on. Texas. So yeah, there's a couple guys that are out there. Yeah, Nick Brooks is the guy. He set his up to be let's see, August 23rd. That's the one. Nick Brooks. So he's going to be next week. He's the 4-star guy. He's out of the state of Texas. He's also, I think he's picking between USC, Texas, and Georgia, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. That sounds about
right.
right.
Yeah. So USC, Texas, Georgia is there. And then that's an older one. Let's see. Look at August. Jonah Williams is another guy. He's announcing on the 30th.
Ooh, I forgot about Jonah Williams.
Fasusi's on the 21st, like you mentioned earlier, so 6 days from today. And then that's the other one, Jonah Williams. And then I think Michael Terry is next Saturday.
Okay.
With Jamie French being on the 30th. There we go. Finally found them all. So big couple weeks coming up for us. We'll have all that information here. Jonah Williams the 24th, Jamie French the 30th, and Michael Fasusi the 21st. I believe Michael Terry is the 23rd, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, Nick Brooks is coming up soon as well.
Yeah, it's a wild time. Listen,
we will have that coverage here as it happens. And next week I will come with and give you guys any updates that we have just in recruiting in general. just to make sure we have that information there for you.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely, man, if we could land a Nick Brooks, again, Jamie Francis just strengthen up that wide receiver room. We got a lot of guys coming in, that will probably, I don't know. I think if we got transfers from, of course, from Alabama, you got Golden, you got number of guys that are going to be here that I think if we do well, I think we have a successful season as people are predicting that we have. Those guys could, make the jump, and make that jump just like AD did, where he looks phenomenal. He's definitely a camp standout. I've definitely been watching more Colts, just like Colts camp, training camp stuff. Like he looks like a number one.
Oh, he looks so.
He looks amazing.
He looks
the
so good.
The stuff that he's done, like again, and these are like pros. Like these are rookies going up against pros. Another standout, Jordan Whittington looked amazing last Sunday against the Cowboys. He's looked good in practice. He's looked really, really good. I hope he makes that team. I think they would be dumb.
I think he will.
I think they would. I don't think they would. Put it like this. I feel
the Rams love their late round wide receivers. They love their late round wide receivers.
Right.
That's
bread and butter. For them, if they were to make a move to where they say, "Oh, okay, we can't keep Jordan Whittington," he will be picked up immediately. He will be picked up immediately. So I'm not necessarily worried about that. So I could definitely see, if we could get like a Jamie French in there, get the new crop of guys in there, like that new core. Like a Ryan Wingo, Jonte Cook. Like, think about those guys. Those guys are going to be the guys up next year, where that core. Honestly, if you look at it, the way things are going, if you add a Jamie French and things like that, like I could see them having one of the best wide receiver groups in the state of Texas.
Yeah, Calvin says Whittington definitely is shining immediately. Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about this before.
Shout out, Kelly. It's been a long time, brother. Haven't heard from you. Good. Glad to see you checking in with us.
Thank you for commenting, liking, subscribing, share with your friends, share with our friends, share with all the friends.
Yep.
Your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents, your everyone. We appreciate your like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We are live every Thursday night. But like I was saying, when Jordan Whittington got drafted by the Rams, you and I both was like, he's making this football team.
Yeah. Like, he looks damn.
You guys know the Rams they're not very deep at wide receiver. They've got Cooper Kupp, they've got Puka Nacua, and I think both of those guys together is going to be really nasty this year.
Right.
And that's about it.
So, if you have a Puka Nacua, a Cooper Kupp, like your third guy has to be Whittington.
It's got to be third. I don't know who else they got.
I personally don't know either. He looks good. Listen, a lot of the Longhorns, we haven't really discussed about the Longhorns in the NFL, but they've been looking really, really good. Again, we don't want to just like hype them up because we're Longhorn fans, but like literally, like they were just talking about Xavier Worthy last week, outside of him getting like pushed around or whatever. Like,
I don't care about that. The dude's little. He should be getting pushed around.
He's not gonna. I don't see him running over like Ladarius Sneed. I don't see him like doing that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But he looked good. Patrick Mahomes doing Patrick Mahomes stuff, running out to the left, passing back to the right in the middle of the center, in the middle of the field, and hit Xavier Worthy on a strike, like literally like 50 yards down the field, like
on a dot, right?
Yeah. The Longhorns the Longhorns from this previous team look really, really good. And I
know what that means? They're finally getting developed.
That's exactly right.
They're making immediate impacts at the NFL level. High level draft picks making immediate impacts. We are finally developing our talent. It's been so long since we've been able to do that. And you know what? This year, there's going to be another 15, 16 guys that are going to go to the combine again this year from this team.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. I definitely feel that as well.
There might be more. There's been last year we had 14. I think I'll have to talk to Alex Dunlap, but I think he mentioned it'd be something like 16 or 17 potentially this year.
Yep.
But another guy that's killing it, as Kelvin says, have to go ahead and get them to mesh now. Talking about Ryan Wingo and Jonte Cook. Ryan Wingo is a 5-star wide receiver. He's going to be just fine. He's going to play this year, right?
Yeah.
Jonte Cook is going to be just fine. He's a 5-star wide receiver. I know there's some doubts about Jonte Cook. Hey, he's a 5-star guy. How come he's just now, getting into it? He's a talented wide receiver room.
Dude, he's been sitting behind Jordan Whittington that has been at Texas for 6 years? He's at Texas. You had Xavier Worthy. A.D. Mitchell, who came off of back-to-back national championships prior to him coming to Texas. It was
sitting behind a stacked roster, and this is what happens when you have a stacked roster.
I'm really glad that players like Jonte Cook wasn't like, I'm just gonna jump ship when they had when we know and he knows that you're definitely gonna have an opportunity to shine. A lot of these guys were just older guys. He just, unfortunately, that's what happens in college. You got to wait your turn. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You have situations to where you do have an Xavier Worthy, you do have a Jordan Whittington, you do have an A.D. Mitchell, where these guys are literally balling out. These guys have been here for forever, and then you're coming in as a freshman. Not to say that Jonte Cook wasn't bad, because there were definitely moments in the season where Jonte Cook had his opportunity to shine. And so I think about Gunnar Helm. Gunnar Helm didn't have to come to Texas when he was going to.
Gunnar Helm is great. He sat behind Ja'Tavion, who's also killing it in the NFL. Right. He's playing very well for the Panthers.
Right.
Jonathan Brooks back on the field, just like we said he would be. He's going to be back for training camp. He's killing it. And he came off of an ACL, got the highest drafted running back in the draft.
Yep.
Or maybe second highest, whatever. And this is the other reason why we go back to Michael Fasusi. He doesn't want to be in the Jonte Cook's position where he has to sit for 2 years. He wants to play now, and that's okay. Not everybody's built to be like Jonte Cook.
Not everybody's going to want to do that.
And that's okay. It's just the nature of the game nowadays. Guys want to go in, they want to play, they want to show what they can do, and they want to get up out of there, and that's fine.
Yeah, completely understood that.
But we'll continue to keep you guys updated on the recruiting show. Huge weekend in August, these next 10 days.
Yeah.
Actually, honestly, 2 weeks leading up to the first game. We are 16 days away. Speaking of the first game, Tim.
Yep.
Let's finish out our night tonight with the last segment of the night where we'll go through and finish out our season. We will not predict who we think is going to win the SEC title game. We will say that for next week.
Yep.
If you have them in the SEC title game. But we will go through the final 4 games of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be Florida, Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky, and, of course, the return of the game. The return of the Red River Showdown. Oh, sorry, the Texas Showdown. Whatever the hell they call it.
Yeah,
the return of beating up little brother.
Yeah. Just to recap, guys, we had the first set of games we had Colorado State, Michigan, Texas, UTSA, and then we had Jesus Christ, what's the other school? UNLM. And we had those guys beating Colorado State, Michigan, UTSA, and ULM. Then you had Mississippi State, Oklahoma, UGA, and Vandy. We had Texas beating the first, which is on 9/28. We had the Texas, playing their first game at home against Mississippi State. We had that as a win. Then they go into bye week. Then Oklahoma, we have them winning that game. We have them falling to Georgia and then beating Vandy. And so right now we have them at 8-1? 1, 2,
7-1, I believe.
7-1. I'm sorry. 7-1. So these last 4, you have Florida at Arkansas, which is I'm going to get to that, and then UK, and then Texas A&M. So Harish, based on that, what do you have Texas going within those last 4 games?
Yeah, I guess we'll start there with Florida, right? Florida's these are all tricky games. Every single
All
one of
of
these
it.
games are very
Yes.
tricky, right?
Yeah.
We don't know what DJ Lagway is going to be. He's good. He's the best quarterback in the country, recruiting wise.
Yeah, that's definitely tough.
He's expected to start. I don't. It is a tough stretch, quote unquote, but it's not like it's a tough stretch because all these teams are good. It's
Yeah.
a tough stretch because of how the games fall.
Right.
I'm gonna have us beating Florida.
Okay.
The only reason why is they're gonna be in the middle of their gauntlet and they're gonna be exhausted, right?
Right.
Before this they play Oklahoma. I think before they play Texas, they go to Georgia, they do something crazy.
They have it's like
before they play Texas, they go to Georgia. They have to play Kentucky, and then they go to Tennessee, and then they come to Texas.
Yeah,
I think because of that stretch of games and how like brutal and daunting that is, I just don't think that team's going to be there. I think they're just going to be drained. I don't think we beat them badly. I just don't see them winning that game.
I have the same thing. Listen, again, Florida and Oklahoma, they have wanted. I have never seen anything like the way Florida and Oklahoma are scheduled. This is like video game college football 25 type of schedule where you like go and bolster up your schedule to make it, kind of easier for you to get into that college football playoff. But if you lose, it's not like necessarily hurting you either. Listen, these last 4 games, I feel that Texas could drop any one of these, honestly.
They could go 4-0. They could honestly just go 0-4. Like it is possible.
That's the nature
really
of
if they are not focused. And this is the grind that SEC fans talk about. Like even a grind on paper like this looks simple, but bro, it is so tricky.
Yeah. The best thing about this situation is they come off of a bye week and then they play Florida, right? So they have an opportunity to get healthy, get their mind right, and then really, from a football standpoint, like you want to break your game up, you want to break your season up into quarters, right? You want if you got the amount of games like Texas does, which is around 13, you want to break those games up into the first, 3 quarters, right? So you want to section it off, right? That's how that's how it's always been addressed to me. It's like, listen, that first quarter, you got X, Y, and Z. So you got those first 3 teams. All right, cool. We come out, we're going to move on to the next phase. Then we're going to go, the next set of teams. And so when you have that bye that late in the season, because they have a bye in
right after the Vanderbilt game.
That's the first week. Is that the first week of November they got it. A lot of people don't have buys that late. It's not normal to have buys that late in the season. So they got lucky. There's a couple of teams out there that they don't necessarily have their bye weeks out there that late in the season. So that gives them a time to get healthy. If you're banged up, if maybe some minor injuries, football is a daunting sport. So, you're going to be a bit banged up and things like that. And a lot of these guys out here are going to have an opportunity to come back, relax, and really, hunker down, especially if they do happen to have just one loss, right? Because now we're talking playoffs. Now this is in the realm where the playoff rankings are starting to go out. The college football playoff map is starting to kind of fall a certain way. So when you go from that point, like now you got that. So the next game is at Arkansas.
Well, did you have them winning?
Yeah, I have them winning. I have them winning. Again, I don't see them like blowing Florida out. But I do think that they will pull that game out. Now going to Arkansas, I think Arkansas, and that's a rival. A lot of people, we're getting as much as we're losing these other games. Again,
so many rivalries back.
We're getting so many older rivalries back. Yep. We grew up because we're younger than a lot of people. We didn't really get to see the big what would they used to call them, the Big 8 or the
SWC,
the Southwestern
Conference.
We didn't have that. We didn't really get to see that. Well, we did, but we weren't
we saw the tail end of it, right?
Yeah,
Because
we saw
when
the
we
tail.
like knew football, the Big 12 had just been formed. Was it 97, 98? That's
Right,
when we were like actually knew what was going on and really started paying attention.
right. So at Arkansas on the 16th of November, that's the game. I think if there is a game, this is the game where they drop it.
I agree.
I think this is the game that drop it. I'm gonna say that they're gonna win, but to me, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I'm gonna call this a 50-50 game.
Yeah, I would call it well, I mean, I told you earlier, I would call it a 50-50 game, but I also call it a full circle game.
Right.
Because this is the game 3 years ago that Sark went into and just got blasted, right?
Right.
That's not going to happen again. I promise you that will not happen again.
Yeah.
But no matter, it's just one of those rivalry games, right? And no matter how good or how bad Arkansas is going to be, that's going to be a dogfight. And
again, the last games, Arkansas definitely has. Arkansas plays tough. No matter whether they're good or bad, they play tough.
Yeah.
Yep. I personally believe that we can go into Arkansas and win that game. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is, to me, is the new Texas Tech, where it doesn't matter if Texas is.
I've heard that a couple of times. Yeah.
If Texas is at Arkansas or if Arkansas is at Texas, it's still like people still talk about that Arkansas game because Arkansas basically dog walked us.
Yeah. Oh, bro, that game was embarrassing. I knew exactly where I was when that game happened. I was flabbergasted.
They ran the ball down Texas' throat
with ease, with little to no effort.
Little to no effort. So yeah, that game I'm a bit worried about. I'm also worried about Kentucky. Now, am I as worried about Kentucky as I am about Arkansas? No.
I'm actually more worried about Kentucky than I am Arkansas.
Really?
Why? That's because of their defense. They have a physical defense. Their linebackers can hit. Their interior defensive line is very good. Kentucky concerns me more than Arkansas does.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, Kentucky. They probably worry me just as about the same. Arkansas might concern me a little bit more because it's in Fayetteville.
Okay.
But Kentucky's a good team too. They also have Brock Vandagrift as their quarterback.
Yeah.
Who, of course, was the number 1 recruit 2 years ago, I believe.
Yeah.
And transferred from Georgia.
Yeah.
And they have the fastest wide receiver in the nation in Barian Brown. That's the piece I am concerned about.
Yeah. Do you think they line up and just go deep the first play?
Oh, they can nine out your ass all day. I don't think we have anybody in our secondary that can stay with him. You're gonna have to put too high like the entire game.
Do you think this is a point to where Texas could this is a shootout game? Do you think this is a shootout game?
Yeah, and I think if it is a shootout game, I don't know if that favors Texas because of their defense. This is going to be one of those games where it's like, even if it's not a shootout, Texas is going to need to get a key stop. Now, I mean, this is like 3 months down the road, so we have no idea what this team's going to look like 3 months from today, right?
Right.
This second, Manny Muhammad and those boys can be ready to roll, and they become one of the best secondaries in the nation. That's very possible, right? And if that happens, then we're
even
good.
Even better.
Yeah. They need to come up with more than just Barian Brown to beat us, right? But looking at it today, knowing the deficiencies of this defense, this defensive line is going to be key to the success of this game. I could see this being a very scrappy shootout type game, like 37-34 Texas wins.
Absolutely.
And I think they win because they're at home.
Right. Absolutely.
And I do think the defense makes a key play late in this game to get the ball back to the offense. And I think Quinn leads them down the field and scores a game-winning touchdown type game.
Right. I definitely agree with you. But so I'm
going to this game, by the way. I will be going to this game.
That game's going to be nuts.
It's going to be awesome.
That game's going to be nuts. So we both have the University of Kentucky losing to Texas. But we're not sold 100% on that. Again, these last 4 teams are really, really scrappy. And then, of course, we got the last game, 11:30, right after the week after Thanksgiving. You got A&M, or not?
They have
The
Thanksgiving.
couple days, Thanksgiving weekend. My
Oh,
bad.
it's a Saturday this year?
It's Saturday. Yeah.
Stupid. That's so.
It used to be
It used to be Thanksgiving Day.
Thanksgiving. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. I would not be surprised. Don't be surprised if that game gets flexed. If
So
A&M,
no, so the way the SEC works, the date is set.
oh,
So, but
they
the
don't
time
flex
is
it.
what flexes. The time is what flexes, right? So this could either be a 3:30 kickoff, or it could be a 6 p.m. kickoff.
For the sake of just the overall hype of this game, I'm really hoping that it's a 6 p.m. kickoff. I'm praying to God that this is a 6 p.m. kickoff. This would be dope.
What do you think about this? I'm gonna let you go first on this game.
Listen, at first, of course, we know it's a rivalry game. I listen. Not only has Texas been hit with injuries, A&M lost Ruben Owens.
Yeah, they did.
Same
injury. Literally days before we lost CJ Baxter.
Yeah,
or maybe days after. It was in the same time period.
Yeah, it was like within the last 48 hours that they mentioned that Ruben Owens is down for the whole year.
So I feel bad for him, man. That's a guy that had a lot of expectations.
Ruben Owens is supposed to be the guy. He's supposed to be the guy. Like, a lot of people talked about Ruben Owens as well as CJ Baxter and Jalen Blue. I think with the loss of Ruben Owens, excuse me, with the loss of Ruben Owens, I think Texas wins. Just because that guy was supposed to be the X factor, and from what everybody was saying is like A&M was going to be the team that was going to run the ball efficiently. That's their whole game, is to run the ball and play defense. And when you lose a guy like that, I don't necessarily know who the running backs are for A&M, just because I just don't keep up with them like that. But everybody knows about Ruben Owens because he's been highly sought after. A lot of people battled out to get him, okay, and they lost him to A&M. And so when you have a guy like that goes down, I just don't see. Again, I think A&M is going to have to pass the ball, and I don't know enough about A&M and their receiving core because, again, they've lost a lot as well at the receiving area to keep up. Now, I think if they had Ruben Owens back there to run the rock, I think you run into a bigger problem.
Yeah, I can agree. I think Texas blows out A&M. I don't think this game's gonna be close. I think this is Sark sending a message to Elko and the rest of A&M saying, "What's up?
What's up?" Hey man, listen, I personally, I am excited for this game. I'm excited for all of these games, but there are a couple that I'm excited for, and the ones that stand out to me, of course, we all know Georgia, Michigan, Arkansas, Texas A&M. Those to me are the standout games. Those to me are, of course, and don't get me wrong, Oklahoma is always a standout game because it impacts recruiting so heavily that like people really start to second guess the commitments and stuff like that. You also have big recruits also coming into those type of games. So when you have stuff like that going on,
classes of recruits.
Yeah, and then I think this A&M game is also going to be the same way. I think this A&M game, that's going to be a big. If A&M doesn't have their best recruits at that game, they would be a fool. They would be an absolute fool to not showcase A&M against a Texas, a big rivalry game that hadn't been played in over 10 years. To not have those guys there, that would be really, really, really.
So there was I don't know if it's tomorrow maybe or next week, but CDC and the A&M athletic director are holding a joint press conference very soon.
Interesting. Okay.
I think that's let me figure out. Somebody told me earlier today. I think that's either might be tomorrow or next week. Let me see.
Listen, CDC, I give props to CDC because CDC literally has been trying to get this A&M rivalry back from a football perspective since he got back.
Right.
Or since he got back. Since he was brought on as the athletic director. That has been one of his focal points. Of course, I remember the speech, I remember his press conference when he came on. He definitely, talked about wanting to make the University of Texas fan experience more enjoyable, really getting the community involved, and shouts out to him because he's done that. The renovations that he's made with the stadium, even though I'm not a big fan of the bowl, I've always liked seeing the open skyline, but still, the way that he's done it, you still get that backdrop. If you look at if you take a look at our stadium now, that we have in the background, it doesn't look like that anymore. It's a little bit more closed off, not completely, but a little bit more closed off. They've been able to add more seats and add on to the stadium. What they've done with Longhorn, at San Jacinto and the Longhorn, I guess
the fan experience.
The Longhorn fan experience has been
on Bevo Boulevard. Yeah,
Bevo Boulevard. I'm sorry, Bevo Boulevard has been absolutely great, and he started that, and he's put a lot of time and effort into that. It's been great. Yep. He's also made major efforts to get A&M back as a rivalry game, even as a non-conference. He had been trying to do it, and it didn't necessarily work out. And he puts a lot of that on A&M, and he's come straight out and say, "Hey, listen, I've gone to A&M to see if they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it," and he continued to do what he could to get them back in here. And so now that we're at the SEC, ain't no running.
Yep. So next Thursday is the joint press conference.
Yes, and we'll definitely bring you guys up to date on that and up to speed on that. In regards to, what was said, the topics, if there were anything. And, what I do like about CDC conferences is that the people that ask him questions, they don't ask him light questions. They really, they swing for the fences.
Yep, they go at him. And we'll see how the new A&M athletic director is. Apparently, a lot of people are not a fan of him. So, including Schlossnagle.
Well, of course we knew that. That was one of his reasonings for his mass exit. So
we'll see what goes on there
for sure. But man. Did you have anything else that you wanted to cover before we got out of here?
No, I need to do part 2 of the Arch Manning rebuild. I just haven't had the time. I might try to put something out this weekend, but stay tuned on that. We will get back on the content, especially as we get back here into full gear for football season. So we'll get some content out there for you guys and get ready for the season. I've got some ideas as the season goes on. So definitely, obviously, like, comment, subscribe.
For sure.
Follow us on TikTok, follow us on Twitter, follow us on everything, and we'll start to get information out. But I don't think I have anything else for tonight.
Yeah, I don't have anything either. Listen, as we're getting closer to the start of the season, there is going to be a massive update again that's coming out for college football. I cannot wait for it. I've seen some other things. They're going to be adding more jerseys. Rumor has it that they're looking to add the A&M all black jersey that leaked today, which is cool. I know you don't care. I'm talking from a video game standpoint. So for you A&M guys that like the all black jerseys, and they haven't had those jerseys out in a long time. I believe the last time that they had the all black jerseys was when Johnny Manziel and Mike Evans were playing.
Yeah.
So
Did they wear those jerseys when they played Bama that year?
I believe so. It was like black and maroon. Yeah. But Air Force got some new jerseys that I'm really super excited about to see in game. Of course, Army always has some nice stuff in there. Navy always has some nice stuff to go up in there. So I'm really excited about that. I'm still playing college football ad nauseum a lot. I think yesterday I pulled off like 4 games. I had 2 guys quit back to back, and I ended up, had them quitting very early. So I've still been enjoying it. Listen, Madden is out. I've enjoyed that. I know
Madden's good. It's not bad at all. It officially releases tomorrow. Obviously, the hype wasn't there. It plays very good. The game is fun. I think we're back to both of those games kind of being lockstep within each other, and they're both good in their own rights, which is what we've always wanted. If you're a franchise guy, the franchise mode is very deep. It's very cool. I just learned the draft presentation that they do for the NFL draft. They do the same draft presentation for fantasy draft.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. If you do a fantasy draft and draft Patrick Mahomes #1, he's going to come out, he's going to hug Roger Goodell and get his little hat for going #1 in the fantasy draft. It's actually very cool.
Yeah.
But I am in the year 2035 in my offline dynasty.
I haven't started mine yet. I still haven't decided what team I'm going to pick just yet.
I won back-to-back national titles at Washington State, and I left for Washington. So I have joined the enemy.
Oh, wow.
So I'm in year 1 at Washington, building that up.
2035 is crazy. That's a lot of football games.
I mean, that's all I played for an entire month.
Yeah, it's been fun, man. I've really been enjoying the college football game. If you guys got any clips, especially if you got any clips and you're playing as Texas and you pull something crazy off, please send them to us or add us on Longhorn Fan Battle at LH Fan Battle. We'd love to talk about it. But in between time and in the meantime, wait, I can't.
Yeah, the other way. This is why I'll do the
you do it.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys joining us tonight. Of course, you can find Tim Wayne on Twitter at Tim Wayne. Find me at the Uncle Gandhi on Twitter. But in between time, my name's Harish. That's my guy Tim Wayne. We out of here.
Peace. Till Gabriel.
Go home.